So advanced pentatonics, what is that? Well, that's pretty easy, because we're using the same scale in 3 different ways, but it's still the same scale. And you can actually use the first position minor pentatonic even, and still use these 3 pentatonics over any track that you're using in the background or playing with the guys. But there are 2 different realms that we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on melodic rock or pop, you could say, same thing with the chord progressions, and then the blues-based realm. I'm just going to start with the blues-based, and that might be, like any chord progression or riff that's based on the blues scale, where you basically take the blues scale and put a power chord on top of each step of the blues scale. Right? That's blues-based. AC/DC is a big on that. Melodic rock, which is more using triad, like regular chords, right? Instead of power chords. And you have a key and you have 7 different chords. Right? That's melodic rock. You could say these 2, or melodic whatever. So let's start with the blues. In the case of A, I'm not going to go into the theory here because we don't have time for that. But in the case of A, let's say you're playing in A blues over something like blues rock or even blues, right? Then I can use, in this case, you can go up a step to the B, and you can play the B minor pentatonic as well, right? Which is pretty cool. So I can go back and forth just 2 frets with the same shape. So over A minor pentatonic or A blues scale, you can play B minor. And I'm also going to give you the tips for how to make this sound great. And one of the tips, the first one is, don't phrase like bluesy, don't bend a lot of notes in the B minor pentatonic. Just stick to just using the notes, like instead of going, don't do any of that. That belongs to the main pentatonic scale, bluesy scale, right? But when you go up, you can borrow notes from this minor pentatonic. It sounds something like that. Let's say I'm going in A, and then I'm sliding up to B. Right? So I'm basically going in the 5th fret, first position minor pentatonic, then sliding up. I'm doing the 7th and the 9th here on the G string. I'm thinking B minor pentatonic, but it isn't. It is, but it's also A minor pentatonic. They share the same notes. And then I go to the B string in the 7th and the 10th fret, right? That's, and then I go right back 2 steps again, and then I have a really cool line. Right? Do the same thing on the top 2 strings. So get a some really nice spice there. Right? So there's a really nice spice to your sound. And also, that's not the only thing. And remember, I'm not doing any bluesy bending stuff as I'm in there. I'm just borrowing notes and going right back again. They're kind of out. They are still in the key, so they're not really out. But they sound more out than the traditional blues scale. But that's what we want, right? When we're bored with our first position minor pentatonic, we want some spice, right? But apart from the B minor, you can also use the E minor. So basically, if you look at when you're in the blues-based context, right? Then you can use, of course, the main scale. You can also use the pentatonic scale that has its root 1 tone higher, and also the one that is a 5th higher, meaning going 2 frets up and then 1 string down. So that's E, right? So I can also use the E minor pentatonic. But I can play that all the way in the 12th fret. And if I want to use my A minor with the E, I can go back and forth like that. It's going to create a nice effect. Right. Right. But if you don't want that kind of schizophrenic moving around, then I could do my E minor in my 4th position shape in the 7th fret. So I would have the still same pentatonic scale, but I'm basing the shape on this root note in the 7th fret on the A string. And I would go, if you don't know the shape, 7 and 10 on the low E string, 7 and 10 on the A string, 7 and 9 on the G string, 7 and 9 on the G string, and then you have the 8th and 10th on the B, and then 7 and 10th on the high E string. Right? And now I can... Right, that's a nice addition, right? And then going into the E. Right? Going into the B minor pentatonic as I did before. Right, going into my E. Right? So some really nice colors here, and remember, don't treat it like a blues scale when you go up there. Just borrow the notes, slide up into them, and then right back again right away. And the way to really implement this into your playing is not to go, okay, let me learn all the scale shapes and how they combine across the neck. Right? Just pick your favorite 2 pentatonic shapes and then learn to go into these. Just a rule of thumb here, when you're in the blues-based environment, right, with the riffing and all, it's simply in, right, you can use these scales, the A, so that's your main scale, right, with the root note right there. You can go up 1 whole tone and play the minor pentatonic that's there, or you can go up a 5th and play the minor pentatonic that's up there, right? So that's for the blues-based. If you're in the realm of 3-note chords, right, like that, then you want to use the natural minor instead, and so the minor pentatonic gets related to the natural minor scale, and that means that this is now the 6th step. So you have the A minor pentatonic that you can use, and 7, and then you have the D minor. So now it's A, D, and then you have the E, right? So if it's like then you want to use that's how, if you mix the A minor with the D minor pentatonic, it sounds like this. Right? Really beautiful. And that's because the 2 scales together, they make up the almost make up the natural minor. If you then add the E minor, then you get all of it, right? But you're still just using pentatonic scales. So now I'm just gonna mix. Let me see, what do I have here? I just have a metronome running here. But if I now just finally here, I go for an A minor, right? That's a really it's a little bit of a poor track here. E minor, D minor, E minor, right? It works miraculously. I'm still just using 1 scale, or at least 1 scale shape, you know, or yeah, 1 type of scale, right? So again, recap before we move on. A minor, in the case of A minor, you're playing over blues progression. Choose the A, the B, and the E minor pentatonic, playing over and you can hear it. You know, try to use these with a track like that. It sounds awful. And if it's melodic, if you're using normal chords and not power chords based on the blues scale, you go for A, you go for D minor, and you go for E minor. So it's kind of another little shape here, like that instead of like this. Voila, that's advanced pentatonics. But you must learn to use them. So use your ear and experiment with it over different tracks in the background. Don't discard it, and remember, keep out of the bending and all the things that we usually do in the pentatonic when you're up into the alien scales here. Now please leave a comment, tell me about your experiences with this, and hit the bell icon, subscribe, and go download the free course and watch the other videos popping up here.